Hi, chat. Hello, everybody. Welcome. It is Thursday night. Thank you all for being here. Such a great time. Such a great time. Yeah. So, welcome to the Thursday stream. If you are new, this is the show we do every Thursday night at 9:30 Eastern time. The only time zone that matters. None of that Central time zone, especially none of that Mountain time zone. We don't do that here. We don't do that stuff here. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate that. I want to say hello to everybody out there on Rumble, Twitch, and also I want to say hi to everybody on Locals. If you guys don't know what Locals is, at potentiallycriminal.locals.com, you get to basically experience what Patreon should have been and could have been and failed to be. So Locals is that. It is basically Patreon, except they don't have rules. They don't enforce their views upon you, and they don't censor. So at this site, potentiallycriminal.locals.com, you can join us and you can participate in the wall, join our community for free. You could post things, you can respond to comments. I post things and respond to comments there. We do that all for free. If you wish to support me, it's $3 a month. That's the least they let me charge. You pay for 10 months, you get 2 months free. Along with those paid things, you get access to the creme de la creme, the best part, the live shows. We do 2 live shows a week. Every Monday we hang out, starting about 8:30-ish, between 8:30 and 9 is usually the goal. And we hang out for quite a while. Like this Monday, we went the full 3 hours. And we also will do a Thursday night show. So after this show, we get to hang out and have a lot of fun. All the stuff we couldn't get to today, all the stuff that's not appropriate here for YouTube, and just, the things that YouTube won't show us and I can't show here, we will cover there. In addition to all that, we do have a live chat that runs during the show where you guys can hang out and put up memes and act like goofballs. And that's actually going on right now because I forgot to do it. So, but that's over there at potentiallycriminal.locals.com. We also do other things. Like if Mr. Medicare is having a show, we will do a watch party. We'll watch Formula One races. Right now, they're in the summer vacation mode, so there's no races for the next couple of weeks, but we do try to watch those as they come up as well. And that's at potentiallycriminal.locals.com. You use the promo code Booger Sugar and you get 1 month free access. You get that full access. You get access to the live shows, all that fun stuff with the promo code Booger Sugar. I really think it's a good deal, guys. I think you'll enjoy your time there. So I hope to see you there at potentiallycriminal.locals.com. And oh guys, I am trying to block the dog right now a little bit here. I've been watching the women's wrestling on the Olympics. Oh yes, I have. Clyde, what's wrong, buddy? Okay, I guess Clyde wants to show up right now. Something's freaking him out. He is super confused or scared about something. I don't know what the deal is. Hi, buddy. What's wrong? Huh? What's wrong? What's wrong? You are super nervous right now, and I don't know why. So, real quick here, what? Okay. So anyway, you guys are telling me, yes, Patreon got rid of Sargon of Akkad for not violating the terms of service. Yes. Yes, locals let you have your kids back. Yes. And no, guys, I did not get to catch up on the YSL trial today. I know that there were a couple of points yesterday and today where the judge put the district attorney's office in some really awkward positions. Hi, Bubba. Hi. You got anything you want to talk about tonight, huh? Nothing about Building 7? Okay. All right. Andrew Hansen is saying Judge Whittaker found the YSL's ex parte appropriate. Really, she did? I hope to God that's not the case. I hope to God that is not the case because really, there truly are no innocent men in Sodom or Gomorrah at this point. If that courthouse can't find me one judge who says that was not correct. Like I said before, bulldoze the whole thing. Turn no parking lot. Sunshine says, I'll read the motion. Guys, I don't have time to read it tonight. We might take a look at it tomorrow. President-elect Phil Swift says, I'm glad we crested the hill of the DSP's redemption. Yes. We watched the Dark Side Phil interview on Kino Casino. And Howie Brown says, he gifted 5 memberships. Thank you, Howie. I appreciate your support and your generosity. Are you okay now, Bubba? I'm going to put you down, okay? So, guys, remember, Clyde coin. It's going to the moon. All right. You guys are also new. We try to take a couple minutes, let people filter in because YouTube sucks at notifications. There have been a lot of earthquakes out in there are earthquakes out in California, a shitload of them. So be careful out there, California. You might fall in the ocean tonight. Yes. Start the video stream on locals. Matt, I can only do so many at a time through StreamYard, so I'm not gonna do on locals because it doesn't change anything you guys get to do there versus watching and here on the other forums. So that's why I don't do locals independent of that. You could blame that on StreamYard at the end of the day. Hot tub streams, no, we do not do those. She ruled the ex parte meeting wasn't a critical stage. What a piece of shit. What a piece of shit. I am taken aback if that's really what this woman is going to do. You know, it's only 9 pages. We'll cover it tonight. We'll start there. So we'll cover that. But oh my God, that's disgusting. Yeah, is there trouble at the well? I don't know what happened. The locals thing is started, guys. Locals is running. Why is it not? I did. I started it. Yeah, the Thursday live chat's going. I don't know what you guys are all fired up about. So let me see here. Yeah, there's people in there. You guys are already in there hanging out, so I know it's working. Karen says, can't wait for me to read that motion. You know, we'll take a look at it tonight. Let me see here. I saw Lockout Lives looking for a funny fat man. Yeah, well, there's no way hell I'd ever do that. So, Matt says, I thought they video with it. No, they don't. Now, hold on 1 second, guys. I think they think 2.0 is coming home. Or she might be. Nope, not yet. Nope, they just hear cars down the road. No, but I am going to reach out to all the attorneys that I've made some basic contact with to see what I can get out of the Young Thug trial, because there's a bunch of it that's just absolute garbage out there that I'll say the things they can say. They can't say or want to say. All right, guys. So let's get started. Real quick, kind of some quick updates. Karen Reed, guys, tomorrow morning, Karen Reed has her hearing, and her hearing is going to be over the motions to dismiss. So we'll find out what happens. We'll hear what the state says. We'll hear how the judge is going to do it. Also tomorrow morning, and tomorrow is going to be Sarah Boone. Sarah Boone's having a hearing on a couple different issues, including whether or not she can be restrained in the courtroom anymore, and she has the right to be unshackled. So that'll be an interesting hearing tomorrow. So we've got 2 things we'll probably cover tomorrow. We'll cover them back to back. I think they'll be a lot of fun. Sniper, hey man, how you doing? saying, I DM'd you something for you to peek at. I'll take a look real quick. But that is where we are, guys. We do have a busy day tomorrow of things. I have to go do some stuff. So I am not going to be just hanging out, fun and free. I've got some stuff to take care of. So we will probably be working on that tomorrow night. And then we'll be going from there. If you guys don't remember Sarah Boone is obviously America's sweetheart, putting her boyfriend inside of a suitcase and letting him die. One is at 2 p.m. first world time. I think Karen Reed is set for about 8:30 tomorrow morning. So, yeah. So you guys can watch Karen Reed if you want to watch it live. Like I said, we will watch it delayed. We'll watch Sarah Boone delayed, and we'll be going from there. Now, moving on from that, there have been some basic updates in the Young Thug trial and the YSL trial. If you guys don't remember, Young Thug and the rapper Young Thug and his group YSL have been accused of being a street gang by the Fulton County Prosecutor's Office. Yes, that same Fulton County. Fannie Willis and her team have accused them of it. They are on day 105 of trial when they started almost a year ago. So they've been doing this for nearly 18 months and they're only on day 105. You heard me correctly. Took them nearly a year to pick a jury, and now 6 months in, they've barely had 100 days of trial. And half those days at this point have been without the jury, it seems like. Judge Glanville was part of a big scandal where they had been meeting ex parte with the defense. Meeting with a prosecution witness without the defense present. That led to his recusal and removal. And now we find out whether or not they're going to get a mistrial. And it looks like answers are pointing to no. And how do we know that? Well, the judge entered her opinion on this. Where did it go? Oh, here we go. Here we go, chat. And we're going to go through this real quick here, just so we understand. Now, this is the case. Shannon Stillwell is one of the co-defendants along with Young Thug. So that's why right now, this is a motion for everything that had been filed, but it's done by Shannon Stillwell, one of the defendants. Hold on, guys. Oh, she is just losing her mind out there, chat. I don't know what her deal is. Anyway, order on defendant Stillwell's renewed motion for a fair and constitutional trial. I mean, who doesn't want one of those? Who wouldn't want a fair and constitutional trial? I mean, I know I would. But I don't know about you guys. What are you guys talking about here? Is that when I'm doing what? Oh, yes, Daily Donkey. I heard about this. Yes, real quick. Dalton, Illinois. Tiffany Herndon basically spent like $10 million out of the city's budget. Yeeted all their bank accounts. Yeeted everything. The city's broke. She stole all the money. So, but let's see what happens here. And she starts off by saying, defendant Stillwell raises multiple assertions of error, impropriety, and prosecutorial misconduct, and judicial partiality, which all happened, which he asserts have resulted in a denial of his rights. The pertinent determination is whether such events, if they occurred as alleged, warrant a mistrial with prejudice, dismissal of the indictment with prejudice, which would have the same effect, or disqualification of the prosecutors, which, I mean, if this is Fannie Willis's A team, I don't think it matters who you have. Now, the first claim is discovery violations, plagues of missing police reports, and Brady violations. And the judge says, well, discovery is being addressed. The court has ordered the state to timely produce all discovery and undertake an effort to secure and provide all police reports. And as of the court filings on August 1st, the court confirmed the state's understanding Brady allegations, include disclosure of material impeachment items, and reminded the state of its continuing obligations under Brady. Yes. Yes, they did, and that's great. The court will address remedial Brady action in this order. So they're getting off the hook there. So claim 2. The prosecutor's failure to follow court orders, making of specious allegations against defense counsel. As you guys heard, the prosecution made all kinds of horrible allegations against the defense repeatedly, and a lack of candor to the court. It says any past failure to follow orders is a matter of record. Aside from a broad assertion of a denial, no specifics establish his assertion and no claim resulting legal error is alleged. Any potential error stemming from the prosecutor's failure to follow court orders may be addressed on a motion for a new trial or direct appeal, assuming any conviction. Once again, judges in Fulton County are scumbags, apparently. None of them want to do the right thing. All they do is punt. Any allegations made against defense counsel, counsel for a witness, or lack of candor with the court is at a minimum extremely unfortunate. It's extremely unfortunate, but you're bound by the rules of professional conduct. So, yes. Oh, it's so sad. They have a job to do. They have to do it properly, chat. Absolutely shit. Bullshit excuse there, Judge. And then you move on to the improper evidentiary hearings by the predecessor judge. Oh, what the heck? Improper rulings by Judge Glanville. A defendant is entitled to a fair trial, not a perfect one, for there are no perfect trials. That is something you will see in every state. You're not entitled to a perfect trial. We just got to try real hard. And if you guys are thinking, wow, that sounds like when you do the John Coffey defense, it pretty much is. We done try, but this is how the court works, chat. This is how a court works. We done tried real hard to give you a mighty fine trial. Oh, Lord and me, oh, Miles. We done tried real hard, boss. We're sorry as it ruined you and violated the law, boss. But we tried. That's all that matters, boss. We just get our gold star and our participation trophy, boss. It's so hard out here, boss, to do a nice trial, all professional-like. We're so sorry, boss. That's what happens. That's the excuse courts make. Oh, it's too hard, boss. We done try hard. We try our bestest, boss. Yeah, makes you feel confident in our system, don't you? So, evidentiary rulings, error which involve mistakes under Georgia's rules, can be addressed in a post-trial review. Yes, they can be, but you can also fucking address them. You could do the right thing. Mistreatment of their defendants by the predecessor judge. Aside from a blanket assertion, well, I mean, Judge Glanville was a piece of shit and treated everybody like shit throughout the trial. I mean, that is the blanket assertion. That's the problem. That's the problem here. All he did was shit on people. The alleged mistreatment of defense counsel. I mean, he tried to throw them into jail illegally. As the remedies, the predecessor judge has been recused and the contempt issue is moot. Well, for now. Turning to alleged mistreatment in front of the jury, a judge has broad latitude in determining how to control the courtroom and directing attorneys to sit down when overruling objections that fall within that latitude. Okay. Now, once again, the courts fall back to no one reliable. We'll give a remedial instruction to the jury, and they'll listen to it because we told them to. Because we say so. Oh, now here we go. Improprieties in and illegality of the June 7th ex parte conference. Oh. In open court on June 7th. Remember, guys, now we also learned there were 3 ex parte meetings with Kenneth Copeland, also known as Little Woody. There was one on the 7th, one on the 10th. There was another one, it appears. Also, guys, can somebody, I don't know if Twitch is working at all. Can somebody pop in there? It says it's working, but it doesn't appear to be. So I'd appreciate if you guys could check. Oh, but here we go. I'm sure I'm going to love this one and not say, well, it's a good thing I'm not an attorney in Georgia. That's all I'm going to say right now. In open court, the prosecution requests an ex parte conference with the court. The defense is therefore a notice of the request. The defense also knew the request was not to secure immunity for Copeland, as the immunity order had been signed in open court earlier in the same day's proceedings. Even assuming a right to be present for this conference, no one on the defense team objected to the request or sought more information about it. Well, I'm sure. So hold on here. I mean, did they know that this guy was going to come in there and get promised as long as you don't completely make things up, we're not going to prosecute you for perjury. You can lie pretty much as you want, and we're not going to say anything about it. How did they know that shit was going to occur, Judge? Also, I can't imagine this was done that way. I'm assuming that's a massive statement of issue there. But anyways, thereby waiving any right to be present for that conference. The defendant waived a right to be present by failing to object or being informed of the judge's meeting with the jury outside the presence of the defendant and counsel. There's some things you can't waive. There are some things that cannot be waived, and I would argue this is one of them. Oh, so it is working. Okay, thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Shay Chaser said, renewing my locals was kind of a pain, but I persevered. Well, thank you. As for the topic of this ex parte conference, the defendant assigns nefarious intent to prosecutor Love and Hilton's representations about their interactions with Copeland's main counsel, Jonathan Melnick. At this point, court declines the invitation to so view their representations, but refers to the prosecutors to footnote 1. Naughty, naughty. Sure, you had an entire ex parte hearing that turned into Brady and Giglio material, but nope, that wasn't illegal. No, that wasn't illegal. You can't find an honest fucking judge in Fulton fucking County at this point. Holy shit. I guess I was wrong. This building should be fucking bulldozed. These fucking judges. These judges. Oh, it's okay. It wasn't a big fucking deal. Are you serious? The defendant complains the predecessor's judge in his conference reveals his partiality to the state. Yeah, that could irretrievably harm the trial. Well, this issue's been muted because he was recused. Okay. On June 10th, the second ex parte, at the behest of Love, the predecessor judge held an on-the-record in-chambers meeting with Love and standing counsel for Kenneth Copeland, Kayla Bumpus, who she's been doing a pretty good job of holding her own. And there was a record of it. Following a recess at which time Love departed the meeting, Copeland and prosecutor Simone Hilton joined the meeting. The defendant's motion raises several challenges to the meeting. Did the defendant have a right to be present? Did the ex parte meeting amount to Copeland's coerced testimony? And did Brady violations occur? Then they also bring up real quick here, there's another ex parte conversation between the prosecution and the predecessor judge. or a portion of the June 10th hearing that wasn't transcribed. But we don't know. And say, did the defendant have a right to be present? The defendant is correct. This meeting was about more than just the parameters of Copeland's immunity and whether he understood his ramifications. The initial stage of the meeting before the first break centered on the prosecution's concern with whether Copeland's main counsel was laboring under a conflict of interest. Which, once again, fuck you, Love, and fuck you, Hilton. Assuming and impugning that attorney. And she says here, this court sympathizes with Melnick's understandable indignation and having his professionalism and loyalties to his client question. The court likewise appreciates defense counsel's umbrage. Yes, you fucking cunts. Melnick's a better man than I'd have been like, who the fuck are these hoes dare question me like that? Them crooked ass hoes. Who the fuck are they? It's a good thing I'm not there, because I would have said something like that probably. Fuck these hoes. And I hope they hear this. Fuck you. You ain't a bunch of hoes. Hold on, Chuck. One of these days, chat shall come running here. I know it. I just know it. Also, who is texting me? Oh, okay. Not important. And it was laboring a conflict of interest and what the logistics of handling Copeland's testimony was standing counsel. But because these topics were all ancillary to the immunity grant, the topic of the meeting remained at its core, and as asserted by the prosecution, Copeland's immunity grant. Because the meeting dealt with the immunity grant and its ancillary issues, it was not a critical state of the trial which the defendant had a right to be present. Even though we know now, he said at that meeting, I'm gonna fucking lie and say whatever the fuck I want. And the prosecutor said, correct, and we promise not to punish you for that. Holy shit. Georgia is corrupt as fuck. Holy fucking shit. Georgia's corrupt as fuck. Get the bulldozers, chat! Get the bulldozers. Looks like the septic tank empties out in Judge Whitaker's fucking courtroom now. The criminal defendant has a right to be present when his presence has a relation reasonably substantial to the fulfillment of his opportunity to defend himself against the charge. Oh, I don't know. When the guy's making comments that violate fucking Brady versus Maryland, maybe they do. Or maybe that's important. This guy has already created a Brady issue, but no. Nope, that's not important, apparently. The defendant is correct. There are differences between this meeting and the meeting in State King v. State. For instance, the meeting in King was to secure immunity for a key prosecution witness, and the defense was aware the immunity hearing was occurring. Here, the defense was not given notice of the meeting, and the immunity had already been granted to a key witness. So the topic was not whether immunity was in the public interest. Instead, its topics were the adequacy of the witness's legal representation and the logistics about the stand-in representation, as well as ensuring he correctly comprehended the meaning and impact of the immunity grant, which included him making statements that are exculpatory under Brady v. Maryland. When he said, I did it. I killed the guy. what would not amount to contempt when the judge says, as long as you aren't telling bald-faced lies, I won't hold you in contempt. And if you tell the truth to be a good boy today, you play ball with us, you go home. That's all not Brady material? That's all not important? Oh, just fucking listen to these people. Fucking listen to them. Absolute fucking scumbaggery in the Fulton County Superior Court. Absolute fucking scumbaggery. The state's reliance on King does not demand its facts be on all fours. Nope. It just demands the defendant get on all fours so he can get fucked in the ass by the prosecution. That's all we're looking at here, chat. Nope. Nope. It just says, bend over, defendant. Here it comes. That's all you're getting. The legal import of King for this claim is that because the defendant's rights are not the subject matter under consideration in the proceedings surrounding a witness immunity grant, a defendant has no right to be present for discussions with the tribunal surrounding witness immunity. The defendant's rights, you mean the right to confront his accuser, the right to have exculpatory evidence, the right to find out when there's bias, the right to find out when the judge engaged in witness tampering, when the prosecution's engaged in witness tampering. No, those aren't rights, apparently. Those aren't issues where it matters at all. This is all fucking bullshit. All fucking bullshit. Absolutely garbage. Absolutely garbage. I wasn't joking when I said this. That goddamn courthouse needs to be bulldozed. Judge Glanville, Judge Krause, Judge Whitaker, scumbags, all of them. I don't have any faith we can find an honest man in that building anymore. That only leaves you one chance. Kick them all out, kick all their shit on the curb, and knock the building down. Sorry. You fuckers got to go somewhere else. You ain't staying here no more. You ruined this building. You tore its soul out when you acted like pieces of shit. It's fucking horrible. Is there anything these goddamn judges won't fucking excuse down there? Like, I get it. Some states have corruption issues. Georgia's always had corruption problems. But for fuck's sake, no one's willing to stand up and say, yeah, this ain't right. I ain't going to tolerate it. I mean, really, at this point, what? She tells the prosecutors, naughty, naughty, get your stuff ready, get practiced, learn Brady, naughty, 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 naughty. No. They need to learn. And if you crush it now, then they learn forever. They get thumped and they go, oh my God, I guess we can't do that. Now what do they learn? Well, as long as the judge is cool with it, we can do whatever the hell we want. There is no honest person in that courthouse, I swear to God. And there's no honest person in that DA's office. And we know that. This is Fannie's A-team, and the people doing with Trump are the A-team. They're all corrupt as shit. Sorry, I don't trust any of them. Muffin Man says, maybe Sherman didn't burn Georgia enough at his March to the Sea. I don't know. But that courthouse needs to get fucking razed to the ground. Seriously. Judges need to show up tomorrow morning and God strike that building with a lightning bolt. You just thoosh. Let it be a pile of rubble. absolute fucking horseshit. And as the judge goes on to elaborate further, the fact that here discussions included what testimony would subject the witness to a charge of perjury, what would subject him to punishment for contempt of the order compiling his testimony, and what that sanction might even entail, does not change his analysis. Bullshit, it doesn't. You fucking spineless bitch. You know, once again, you've been called to take your place on the... Welcome back to the stage of history. And what does she do? Nah, fuck it. Punts. You had a chance to do right, Judge Whitaker. You had a chance to do right. And you're just like, fuck it, I don't want to do it. It's too hard. I'm too tired. Fucking scumbag. Fucking scumbag. I mean, really, it's just absolute scumbaggery. You know, there's no right to be present at a hearing to compel witness testimony pursuant to an immunity grant. Notice she ain't going to, she can't find the stuff in her own state. She's scratching and digging hard out of Kansas, out of New York, out of the Eastern District of New York. You couldn't even find something in the Second Circuit? Oh, honey, you grab it for straws, sweetheart. Maybe Nick could let you borrow some of his straws. Apparently, he don't need them no more. But honey, you grab for straws, baby girl. It's not that look don't befit you. But yes, this is just absolute garbage here. Just absolute garbage. Was the witness testimony coerced? Separate from a defense right to be present, there's the issue concerning the immunity. Defendant had a trial free of coerced testimony. Yeah, you do have the right to that. The defendant asserts a certain arguably inaccurate representations made by the prosecutors and their predecessor Judge Copeland about the law of derivative use immunity, the applicable statute of limitations, and the length of his possible incarceration for contempt forced him to testify. And then she says the case is Webb v. Texas, and this is actually a very good case, is the touchstone for evaluating claims of coercion by the trial court of a witness's testimony. And then she cites a case out of Maryland, and it provides another example of a trial court overstepping its proper role of neutral arbiter and rendering involuntary a witness's determination. Here, Copeland had the benefit of counsel. The predecessor judge did not, on the whole issue, intimidating rhetoric. Yeah, he did. I can keep you here forever. But rather sought to ensure Copeland understood the nuances of the decision he had to make. And he explained that many decisions about what could happen to Copeland were not his to make up, but were up to the prosecutors. You were talking to this guy openly about him committing perjury. You shouldn't have been doing that, Glanville. You shouldn't have been doing that. You should have said, we're not doing this. Get the fuck out of my chambers. And, you know, here, it's still some of the information may have been accurate. May have been inaccurate. It means it is. While it is likely Copeland was not induced by any inadvertent or other inaccuracy to testify. Notice she's trying to say, well, yeah, it's really it's likely. While it is likely that he wasn't induced, which means there's a pretty good chance. If it's not likely versus likely, that still means pretty good chance, chat. There was a pretty good chance. Pretty good chance this happened. The cleaner approach is to pretermine this issue. The cleaner approach. Fucking Janny. Sweep, sweep, sweep. This is God tier Janny right here, chat. You want to see this? I mean, you guys think, see, Goody could sweep. Holy shit, Judge Whitaker just put on a clinic. Is simply to pre-terminate this issue, acknowledge the past inaccuracies, and advise Copeland anew. This is the course the court has proposed, and the parties have affirmed its efficacy. Did they really? Do they really believe you're giving them a fair shot? Copeland was since recalled in open court on August 6th in the presence of his counsel, Melnick, who had privately consulted with and advised Copeland, was providing clarifying correct information on matters impacting his choice whether or not to testify. All parties were present and consulted with the court prior to Copeland being re-advised. Yes, but how do you get... You've got to deal with now. Was there a Brady violation? Was there a Brady violation? Violation la Brady. Was there a Brady violation, Judge? Yes, there was. But I haven't read this yet, and I can't wait for you to explain to me why. I can't wait for you to explain to me why this isn't fucking wrong. I can't wait. I can't fucking wait. Was there a Brady violation? Yes, there was. This has been a long-running and multifaceted proceeding. You could just say this has been a fucking disaster because that's what it has. The challenges have been myriad and formidable. Yes. Frustrations may have been mounting while fortitude was waning. She's admitting it. People weren't fucking doing their job. Judge Glanville got fucking sloppy and lazy because when the road got hard, he got weak. And a needle in the haystack is not only sometimes difficult to find, but also easily overlooked. This court does not attribute bad faith to anyone on this issue. Oh, that's mighty fucking nice of you. I don't want to go back and address all these other things, but I'm going to say nobody was acting in bad faith so far. Well, somehow that's different. Somehow that's something you can comment on. Bullshit, you can. This is fucking disgusting, chat. It's absolutely disgusting what happened here. Oh, hold on, chat, 1 second. So, and yet, as soon as Copeland joins the June 10th in Chambers ex parte proceeding, he states, I have never been truthful a day in my life until I just made this statement right now. Copeland may have little credibility. He may speak in hyperbole. But the fact remains that for a defense attorney, this nugget by a key state's witness is gold. Yes, it's a Brady violation. They weren't going to tell anyone about it until the security guards told Brian Steele. So when the prosecution did not only reduce his statement to writing, but also asserting in court filings the defense had no entitlement to know the contents of the ex parte proceedings, this amounted to suppression, whether willful or otherwise. Oh, it wasn't willful. They accidentally said, no, you're not allowed to know what we talked about. No, you're not allowed to know what we talked about. They knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing. Oh, hold on 1 second. Whether willful or otherwise, of what was objectively Brady impeachment material. The defense now knows of this statement and indeed of all of what occurred during the June 10th ex parte meeting. The contents of the meeting were ultimately revealed during the course of the trial and in time for the defense to utilize it. So the failure to produce suppression of this does not technically amount to a Brady violation. Except it is. They got caught. This wasn't a voluntary thing where the state's like, oh, we're bad. Are bad. No, the defense had to find out. But the fact the violation of the rights has not been averted does not provide for cause for celebration. That's correct. What it does provide is cause for sober reflection and examination of processes, procedures, and approaches that likely permitted this inadvertent but nonetheless serious Brady lapse to occur. Fucking Sweepy McSweeperson here. Jesus. Once again, see Goody, man. Take notes. This is how you sweep. This is how you sweep, son. Man, she sweeps so good she could get on the curling team for the Olympics next year. This is disgusting. This is top tier Talmudic reasoning. Yes, almost. A sober reflection, examination of it. Okay, fine. They're doing it wrong. Punish them. Punish them. No, that's too hard. Well, then you're not going to get any examination of the processes, procedures, and approaches. Because you're giving them the benefit of the doubt. The defendant seeks a sanction as qualification of the state's two lead prosecutors. Because it's not appear to the court to have been a purposeful violation, but rather a negligent overlooking the impeachment value of Copeland's in-chamber statement, the court does not order their disqualification. At the same time, the court is cognizant the defendant's liberty, as well as the liberty of his co-defendants at trial, is at stake. The prosecutors involved are knowledgeable and experienced, and this is not the first allegation of misconduct in this case. The court therefore orders, as a remedial measure, that the entire prosecution team working this trial submit to training on Brady and other professional obligations of a prosecutor. The training will consist of a video replay of training on this topic previously presented by the Prosecuting Attorneys Association of Georgia. The court will provide the video, and the viewing will occur at the direction of the court. Paige Reese Whitaker, you fucking spineless cunt of a human being. You bitch-made motherfucker. Is there anything you're going to find them guilty of? What do they have to do for you to realize, oh my God, these people are shit? What do they got to do, Judge? Huh? What do they got to do? They got to take a dump on the floor? Yeah. Wow, a video. And here's the thing. Why do you submit to Brady training if it's inadvertent? Oh, we didn't mean to do it. Oops. Okay. I mean, here's the thing, guys. This judge wants to see these guys get convicted. They're going to get fucking railroaded. I'll tell you right now. Thank God they've got good fucking attorneys. Thank God Brian Steele, Max Shart, Keith Adams, Doug Weinstein, all those attorneys out there, even the ones I can't name off the top of my head. All those other guys who got attorneys out there are just fucking gunslinging it. That's the only thing keeping these guys in the fight. Good fucking attorneys. This is pathetic. This is pathetic in every fucking way. This is pathetic. Like I said, get the fucking bulldozers and bring a fucking tarp. We'll make a parking lot. That's the only thing you could do with this court. The Superior Court of Fulton County. J-Rock, I know you work down there, man. I don't know. Help them start moving stuff out. Help them start moving stuff out. That's the only thing we can do. Fucking sad and fucking pathetic. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to say. They don't got it. I mean, She's not going to let this trial fall apart. Judge Whitaker will let the heavens fall. That's how much she's willing to let happen. Let justice be done, or may the heavens fall. Hold on. So, sorry, chat. Wanted to fix something real quick. Oh, there we go. I don't know what to say, chat. Don't know what to say. Kat says, can they appeal this decision? I don't know if this counts as a final appealable order. I think they can. We'll see. All right, chat. Well, we need to move on. J-Rock says, I do know that I unfortunately may have to file suit in Fulton County Superior soon. I have no opinion on this. You're fair, man. I get that. You guys gotta play ball down there. I'll say the shit you can't say. I'll say the things you can't say. Because that's the sad part. You guys have to worry about your fucking clients. So I'll say it for you. I'll put that burden on my shoulders. Happily. Soul Souffle says, never heard of let the justice be done or let the heavens or may the heavens fall. It's an old timey quote, man. It's an old timey quote. It traces its roots back to Latin. Oh. It was initially, people have said Cicero has said it, but it goes back to Lord Mansfield in the 1700s. And, it goes back, chat. It goes back. And if you watch JFK, when Kevin Costner's playing the role of Jim Garrison, he says it as well. So, yes. Fiat Justitia Rotellum. I think it's how you pronounce it. And I don't know. My Latin's awful. Fiat Justitia Rotellum. Let justice be done, though the heavens may fall. Well, apparently justice is not going to be done. I just Sorry, chat. It's just, what the fuck are you supposed to do? What the fuck are you supposed to do? All right. Moving on. So if you guys remember last week, we covered this, and this was an interesting thing that happened. This was from the Department of Defense. And this was the Office of the Chief Prosecutor for Military Commissions. Now, if you guys don't know what that means, these are the people down in Guantanamo Bay, the military commissions, prosecuting the guys who were picked up as part of the global war on terror. So that includes all the guys caught during the global war on terror, including the architect of the September 11th attacks, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. Not just him, but other guys as well. So what do we know? Well, last at the end of July, so basically like 7 days ago, the families of the September 11th victims, and that's what this is all about, September 11th, that there is a plea agreement that was reached. And it took 27 months of negotiations. So the three accused, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, KSM, Wali bin Atash, Mustafa al-Hassawi, all entered pretrial agreements, and they agreed to plead guilty to the murder of the 2,976 people listed in the charge sheet and agree to be sentenced by a panel of military officers, which that was going to happen anyway because it's a military commission. Why are they doing that? Because it was in exchange for the removal of the death penalty. So, Ken saying, did YouTube or Ahmad eat my message? Probably YouTube, because the mods are supposed to be hands off. So anyway, that was done. And they were going to do it. The people involved, if you were a victim or a family member, you had 45 days from this notification till September 14th to voice your opinions. The interesting part about this was you were allowed to submit questions to these guys, and they would agree to answer them. And they'd agree to respond to your question within 90 days of the receipt. So they were hoping that answers could be provided by the end of the calendar year. So that'd be the neat thing. You could send them questions, and they would answer them. So it's like a big Reddit AMA. And then, yes, this was all done. The sentencings were going to be set for summer 2025. The sentencing and the guilty pleas were going to be in September, October of 2024. And this was done by all the people involved, including the chief prosecutor, this guy, the managing trial counsel, another guy who's trial counsel, and the guy in charge of the victim program. So they all notified everybody saying, we're doing this. David says, how do I mod things? Unless they're Fed posting, I'd rather we not. Oh. So 10K views says that the families agree to this. Well, ultimately, it doesn't matter if they agree to this because the prosecution made a decision. Oh. But since then, and literally right the day after this, guys, the day after this happened, and we were covering this when it happened. Guess what happened the next day? Guess what happened days later? August 2nd of 2024. I know some of you don't like Lloyd Austin because he's a Raytheon shill and all that. This is a memorandum for Susan Escalier, the convening authority for the military commissions. And this is from the Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin. I guess, the military is in charge of the commissions, right, guys? Well, guess who's in charge of the military? The Department of Defense. I got an issue here. So it says subject authority to enter pretrial agreements. The United States versus Khalid Sheikh Mohammed et al. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, Walid Mohammed Salib Mubarak bin Atash, Mustafa Ahmed Adam Al Hawasi, and then United States versus Ramzi bin Al Shibi, and then United States versus Ali Abdul Aziz Ali. So all these guys, actually, there were a couple more apparently, a couple more. And he says, Lloyd J. Austin signed, says, I have determined that in light of the significance of the decision to enter into pretrial agreements with the accused, the responsibility for such a decision should rest with me as a superior convening authority under the Military Commissions Act of 2009. Effective immediately, I hereby withdraw your authority in the above referenced case to enter into pretrial agreement and reserve such authority to myself. Effective immediately in the exercise of my authority, I hereby withdraw from the 3 pretrial agreements that you signed on July 31st. So yes, there's some takesies backsies. Some takesies backsies. I never forget to share screen. I've been doing good tonight. Crawfished in less than a week. In a matter of days, chat, over 2 days. Took 2 days for them to crawfish out. And this happened, remember, July 31st is Wednesday. And by Friday afternoon, this happened. David says, I don't know if you can retroactively take over authority and declare it entered a contract null and void unilaterally. David, these are military commissions under military law. These are operating already outside of normal due process and the normal grips of the United States legal system. And I think he can argue because this is a military operation, this was done without his permission. As their commanding officer, he can overrule an action that wasn't properly done. I don't know though, but that's yeah. Matt Pete says, isn't UCMJ? I understand, but it's under military authority. So it's not a court martial, but it is a military commission. So the military is in charge of it. So I think he could probably rely on DOD law and military law to back up the way he's handling this. Yeah, I would agree. If this is being entirely under the authority of the DOJ, they probably wouldn't be allowed to do this the way they're doing it. But I guarantee you he's using his authority as the head of the Department of Defense to do this. Doesn't the court have to accept a plea before it's a thing anyway? Not always. Because there are times where if the prosecution enters into a contract with a party, they can't withdraw it. And I've had this happen before, where a prosecutor said, we'll agree to do X, Y, and Z. And they withdraw it because it wasn't written down and it wasn't signed. But if it's written down and signed to yet and the court hasn't accepted it, well, you have the right to say that's a signed contract. So we'll see what happens there. Garrett says, of course, Joe Biden could negate anything done by Austin. Well, I don't think so because the Military Commissions Act, I don't know. Remember, he's not the superior convening authority. The DOD is. The Secretary of Defense is. So I don't know if Joe Biden would be in that situation. Yes, he said he's the convening authority. Yeah. So, yes, Cavasier's Mead says the convening authority on the disposition of cases to investigate in the trial. Yes. So, Isn't the head of the military the head of the military courts too? You mean like Trump, like the president as the commander in chief of the military, is he head of the courts? Not in that way, but for example, like Eddie Gallagher, the Navy SEAL guy who was being charged with a bunch of crimes, including murder. Trump said, "You know what? The case is done and over with. As the commander of the military, I'm taking care of that." He doesn't act as like a separate judge, but he can command the military to do things, I think is what you're trying to ask. I don't really know what you mean there exactly. He's not like a super judge, but he can decide things on his own. I think that's what you're getting at, Mike, but I'm not 100% clear. So, why did this happen? Why did this happen? So, there's a question about why did this happen? And they talk about him revoking it. And yes, quietly released on a Friday. Remember, guys, putting it on a Friday night, it gets released over the weekend and nobody hears about it. It's quiet. That way, there's no impact. So, why did he do that? Well, it's not clear other than short of people being mad. And the plea deal announced backlash from both sides of the political aisle, as well as groups of people representing 9/11 victims who have pushed the government to pursue the death penalty. And that's been the issue, more or less, is the outrage. Now, this is something that governs prosecutors everywhere. But at the end of the day, as a prosecutor, it's your job to do what you think is right. If the victims don't like it, fine, you notify them. But being a victim does not make you correct. It doesn't give you special authority. It doesn't change anything for you. So this whole idea, I mean, yeah, they're mad. I mean, it's some of the idea that, oh God, we have an election in November. I could see that. If we want to make that argument, I think that's a pretty good one. But I don't know if at the end of the day, I don't think that would hurt Kamala or Biden too much. They could be like, the military made that decision. As their commander in chief, I back the people in the military. I don't think, because think about it, if Trump starts attacking it, it's like, well, now you're attacking the military for doing their job. So yeah. I mean, they vote, Matt, but I think if this would have happened last year, it probably wouldn't have been a big deal, but we don't know. We don't know. Joe Loy says, I'm surprised they're still alive, to be honest. Well, why are you surprised? They were getting like waterboarded and subjected to some basic torture from the CIA. They weren't like, their fingernails weren't getting yanked out, or they weren't getting electrocuted, like standing in a puddle of water like Saddam Hussein would do. I mean, they were. Kay says, I thought we don't negotiate with terrorists. Well, this isn't really negotiating with them at that point. So, Barton Bell says 23 years and no trial date. Yeah, well, remember, part of that time they were stuck in the CIA's grasp. And that's part of the reason why they think people are suspecting this plea agreement was made, because a lot of time was spent in the grips of the CIA, where they were subjected to what, if it were to ever be truly accounted for, is likely a legal means of torture. And that means these statements, anything, any evidence gleaned from that would not be admissible. So there were a lot of concerns about how this all happened. We don't really know, though, because there's a lot of stuff that's done in darkness here. Michael says, how do you prove a case? The co-conspirator is dead or in non-extradition countries. Interrogations are thrown up because of black sites. I can't think they have much evidence. Oh, they probably have a lot of evidence. I think they probably have more than enough. It's just how much of the evidence is credible or questioned, like is above it could be used. We don't really know. Enhanced interrogation, call it whatever you want. It's not something you want done to you. So, yes. So, we'll see what happens. I think that was a very interesting result, though, as to what occurred. And we'll be going from there. We'll be going from there to see how this affects everything else. It's a very interesting issue. Okay. And next up is Chad Dorman. And if you guys don't know who Chad Dorman is, Chad Dorman is a guy here in Ohio. He's accused of murdering, well, he tried to murder his entire family. He tried to murder his wife, his stepdaughter, and then was actually able to murder his 3 sons. He killed them all and surrendered to the police outside his home, and they were seeking the death penalty against him. A couple months ago, we covered the judge's ruling on a suppression motion that his interrogation violated the holding in Miranda because he was not afforded counsel and he was not properly advised of his rights. So therefore, his confession to police and his statements to police were entirely suppressed. So at that point, and since then, he entered a plea this past week. And, just so you guys are aware, he entered his plea here. He did enter a plea. He entered a plea for life without parole.
Relive what they experienced last year.
How do you plead?
Guilty.
Guilty, a word Chad Dorman repeated 5 times today. Guilty of 3 counts of aggravated murder and 2 counts of felonious assault. His victims, his 3 young sons, 7-year-old Clayton, 4-year-old Hunter, and 3-year-old Chase, who Dorman gunned down and murdered at their own home. Dorman's ex-wife Laura and stepdaughter Alexis were also injured. Today, they stood feet away from Dorman as a prosecutor read their victim impact statements.
Chad, I trusted you with my life. And honestly, I looked up to you more than anyone. I saw you as my dad, not just a stepdad, because it hurts to know I will never get to experience another day with my 3 brothers or to make any memories anymore because their innocent lives were taken away so quickly and horribly by their own father.
Laura's statement just as emotional.
So, yeah, it's really bad. And he also had done a motion for insanity. It determined he was not insane at the time. It's still not clear, he doesn't really admit, why he did all of it. He was having a bad day at work. And for some reason, he comes home and kills them all. It still doesn't make a whole lot of sense, ultimately. To me, even what he might offer now is an excuse.
As she wrote about trying to save her sons from her husband, who hunted down the children.
I was injured that day, fighting with every ounce of my body to just make it stop. I struggle every day, knowing I was not successful in doing so. And now I have to live with this and wonder what more I could have done to save them. I would do anything to push them on the swing. Cover them up one more time and hear their little ways of saying, I love you.
So, anyways, yeah, Chad Dorman's getting life without parole. So, if you guys were not aware of that, that's kind of the update to it. I know you guys wanted me to cover it. So, let's just say just a bad day at work. We don't really know. Luke says they hadn't resolved the insanity issue yet. I know, but from what I had understood, he was nothing showed he was acting insane. He wasn't really going to be found insane at that point. And the fact they entered the plea shows that they agree he probably wasn't going to be found insane at the time. He might have a mental health issue, but yeah. Jeff, the voice of Aurora Borealis. Hey, Jeff, how you doing? Yeah. Why is that? It's very weird watching him cry tonight, but yeah, he did. And Luke says, "I'll do the hot take. I thought he had decently strong NGRI case." Yeah, but if he did, I don't think they would have. Taken the plea. If they thought they had a good one, I think they would have probably wrote it out. NGRI means not guilty by reason of insanity. So Ohio does have an insanity defense, you could argue. So, yes. So if you guys were wondering, because I know some of you were like, oh, let's cover that case. Well, there ain't no more to cover. Moving on to other scumbaggery in America. If you guys remember this, this case, and this is the case of the Kansas newspaper getting raided by the police. Now, if you guys remember, this is where the police then also raided the home of the guy who ran the newspaper. And when they raided the newspaper, they raided the home while his 90-year-old mother was sitting there. And she kept on riding their ass and talking crap to the cops as they were illegally searching the home. And I do want to say, if you guys are interested in this one or what's gone on with it, if you guys stick with, hold on here. If you guys stick with this person here, Jessica McMaster. She's an investigative reporter out of Kansas, out of Kansas City. She kind of blew the lid off this initially when it happened. Has been covering it since it broke last year, and she's been staying on top of it. So I check in on it every once in a while. I'd fire this up and check it, see if she had any interesting information, and she does. She has an update today, and that update is that the former police chief who led a raid last year is going to be charged. He'll be charged with interfering with the judicial process. Now, what does that mean for him? I don't know. Does that mean he was? Does that mean he's going to go to prison for being a complete scumbag? I mean, probably not. Let's be real. That's not going to happen. But yes, they found probable cause that Chief Gideon Cody committed the crime of obstructing justice, as he knowingly or intentionally induced a witness or informant to hold or unreasonably delay the production of testimony, information, or documents. But they do know that he likely had told people, witnesses, to remove their text messages, delete text messages, not provide phone access to investigators. And this is that scumbag, Gideon Cody. Like, there he is in all of his bitch-made glory for what he would do to people, for what he would do. He is dust in the wind. What's he really going to be? What's really going to happen to him, chat? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen to him. So we'll find out. But it all goes to it. I hope there's more to it, and I'm hoping I can get a copy of this report. I want to read it, and if we have the chance to go over it, I do want to go through it, because there's a lot to this guy, and he should be sitting in prison for what he did. And I don't know if that's going to happen. Forced retirement. Yeah, well, this guy was already forced out of the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department. Once again, he's like the cop that murdered Sonia Massey. There's an issue in law enforcement where you have multiple times this idea of this itinerant, this drifter cop who goes, this journeyman police officer who goes from department to department to department to department to department, gets shuttled around like a Catholic priest as he screws up, and they just shove him down the line, and nobody reports him to the state post, the certification group. So he gets to keep being an officer, and he keeps on screwing up as he goes down. Didn't the old lady die? Yes, she died days later. And he should be responsible for that, because I guarantee you that's got her all fired up as she died. So yeah, it's going to be great, and hopefully there's justice at the end of the day. I'm not holding my breath, just because that's how it is in life, chat. just because it's how it is. Let's not lie about it. That's how it goes. All right. And then speaking of kind of touching off the Chad Dorman being insane thing here. If you guys don't remember, the guy a little while ago now, he did a YouTube live stream with his dad's severed head in a bag as he was talking about wanting to overthrow the government, was deemed to be sane. Justin Mohn he's been charged with first-degree murder. I mean, that's the big thing, but I love how they charge him with abuse of a corpse and possession of an instrument of crime. It's like, he abused the corpse, but the really bad part was the murder. But yes, he beheaded his dad earlier this year. He's going to be held competent to stand trial. He's not insane. And it's funny because they talked about it. It was a 5-hour hearing, and seated in court, he was smiling, which, like, okay, I guess. The judge also allowed him to dismiss his public defender and appoint a different attorney to handle the case. Now, I kind of get this. This is when I read about this, guys. I'm getting Sarah Boone vibes. Is he willing to work with the new attorney? He said, "Oh, 100%." Oh, we'll see, man. We'll see. I'm getting Sarah Boone vibes out of this, though. Definitely get Sarah Boone vibes. So, if you guys don't remember, this is the actual video. The video was up for a while. YouTube took it down, but you could find it a lot of places if you look for it. It's out there. By the time he's on video, his dad's head is in a bag, and it almost looks fake anyway, because you can't really tell because it's like in one of those cloudy-ish clear bags. You can't really... It looks like a movie prop, but apparently it really was his dad's head. Apparently it was really his dad's head. And it's funny because the psychologist who interviewed him and sat down with him claims that he objected to his attorney's use of a mental health defense and that he was self-interested in wanting to do the case. And that's true. Now, this part is actually true. This does happen. Attorneys will think, we need to do an NGRI defense, an insanity defense. Well, oh yeah, the video was clickbait. Yes, the video was very clickbait. He only did it for 1 minute. And then he rambled on for 10 more minutes. But I've had this happen before where you say, I want this person evaluated for competency and sanity, and your client gets mad because you're like, I'm not insane. And I'm like, I'm not sure that you aren't. I'm competent. And you're like, I'm not sure that you are. And then you talk to him, you're like, and every once in a while, he's like, okay, well, fine. Well, then show us that we're wrong. And sometimes they're able to say, yeah, they actually aren't. They're just quirky. Where sometimes they comes back and like, nope, they're 100% insane. It all depends. It all depends. Resto Town says if he's not insane, then he's right. Yeah. Yes, listen, you're crazy. The volcano god needs heads. So I thought this, like I said, I thought the bigger issue here was that we might run into a Sarah Boone situation. I could see that starting to happen. Anyways, he believed his own public defender was a federal agent working against him. And he wrote a letter to Russia's ambassador seeking to strike a deal where he could get refuge and apologize to Vladimir Putin for being the Tsar of Russia. Which, I don't know, maybe he could be like, look, if I come fight for Wagner, will you let me wait for Wagner? Can I get a pardon, Putin? So it'll be very, very interesting. It'll be very interesting to see what happens to this guy going forward. I'm assuming there will be some interesting stuff out there. So that is another one I know people have asked me about. And SB Seller says, how does an interview now disprove insanity at the time? Well, the people who are analyzing it look at how they are, how they've been medicated, what was going on at the time. They will go through the evidence is available to say, does this look like a person who's suffering from a mental health issue? There's a lot of things they can do to determine that. It's not a it's a bit of an art more than a science. And Luke says, speaking of Sarah Boone, I saw your DMs, Luke. I saw your DMs. And we're not gonna have time for that tonight. We'll look at those tomorrow before we start the hearing. So, but yes, obviously though, if he thought he was crazy, they determined he's not like crazy. The issue now is competency, not NGRI. Well, if we're talking about whether or not he wrote a letter to Vladimir Putin, I think we're dealing with competency and insanity. And apparently he's competent, and they determined he wasn't insane also. Oh. And then moving on from there, guys. So we'll find out what happens with him. And in another case that we didn't get to see, just because of the nature of the situation, but if you guys remember, Karen tomorrow, guys, is like at 8:30 in the morning. I'm not going to be able to show it because I've got things to do. Sarah's hearing is in the afternoon sometime. I don't know, bored. So I think it's around 1. I won't be able to get to these until after they're well done tomorrow afternoon. So, if you guys remember Brendan Depa, he was the high schooler who, yes, while he was on the spectrum, he attacked his teacher because she took away his Nintendo Switch. If you guys don't remember this, here you go. And that's him on like 6'6" and like 270. Just whooping on her. So, if you guys don't remember that, that's what he did. Yes, he was 17 years old, over 6 foot, and over 250. So anyways, they claim it's all about a Nintendo Switch. Well, what does that actually mean it was about a Nintendo Switch? Well, I like how the hulking Florida teen, he was just a huge dude. And he beat this lady unconscious, is now going to face 5 years in prison. Because he was 17 at the time in Florida, they could prosecute him as an adult. And Brendan Depa, now 18, threw his head back as he was given his punishment. He also got 15 years of probation and will be placed in a group home upon his release. And yeah, he seems to not realize, like, uh-oh, it's getting for real. So he was charged with felony aggravated battery and bodily harm after he attacked one of the paraprofessionals who assisted. Yeah, and he was 6'6" and 270, beating that lady. And he stomps her and punches her over 15 times. In October, he pleaded no contest. And he faced up to 30 years in state prison, was rescheduled after the judge said, I need to hear from more witnesses. And now they claim he's got autism spectral disorder, but here's the thing, that doesn't, that's not an excuse. It gives context, but once again, people who are on the spectrum know right from wrong. And in the courtroom was the lady here. This is the woman he beat up. And yes, there is a still image of him stomping on her, which, I mean, in reality, chat, I'd argue that's deadly force. That's the intent to cause serious physical harm. Act on that as you will, but I would argue that's serious physical harm. But yes, his mom says they're punishing him because he's black. They're punishing that he is large, and they are punishing his disability. No, they're punishing because he beat the shit out of a lady for no reason. I mean, he doesn't need to know, does he not know he can't do that? She said, I think he needs help. He needs treatment, but I don't think he needs to be put in a prison where he's going to be taken advantage of or harmed. Well, he wants to fight, so guess what? He's going to go to a place where there's a lot of fighting. And then she blames the school for not handling his disabilities right. Well, I mean, here's the lady thank God that's only the damage she suffered. She didn't suffer a cracked skull or something. The mom says, I told the school being hungry was a trigger. That noise was a trigger. Being told no was a trigger. that being corrected in front of other people was a trigger, and that electronics was a huge trigger. Okay, so you can't tell him no, because if you tell him no, that's going to make him mad. And if you try to correct him in front of other people, that's going to make him mad. Like, what are you supposed to do with that? If you can't tell him no, what can you do with someone that's that way? Is that really someone who's autistic? Or is that just someone who has just never been told no properly? Yeah, I mean, basically everything's a trigger. Which I think is absolute garbage. You know, everything can't be a trigger. The reason why they did try him as an adult is they had a history of violence. And apparently he had numerous battery charges in the past. And yeah, if you attack a lot of people, I mean, eventually as a juvenile, you run out of road and you run out of protection. And eventually they will try you as an adult. I mean, two things happen if you're a kid and you keep screwing up. Eventually you turn 18 and then you just screw up as an adult and then it's over. Or as a juvenile, you keep screwing up, but eventually you screw up so bad they just skip you turning 18 and try you as an adult. I mean, those are the two things that happen. And there's mom right there looking all sad. You know, the lady who's getting beat said that he had spat in her face and he called her a whore. You know, and she says, the last thing I remember is having my hand on the door handle. And I don't remember anything else until 3:30 when I came to. And at that point, I was in the ER and people were there with me. You know, when she says she has PTSD and suffers anxiety, I bet she definitely does. You know, and she lost a job she had for 20 years. She lost her security. She lost her insurance. Like, everything was taken away from her at 10 o'clock that morning. So, yeah, you know, good. That's, you know, I'm sure he, oh, well, you know, had nothing to do with him being autistic. Oh, the school screwed her over. Sure. I hope he lets his fellow prisoners know his triggers so they'll behave accordingly for him. Yeah. So, oh well. Now, this one, I'm not sure if we're going to get creamed off YouTube for, but this is interesting here. There is, this is footage from the officers who were trying to confront Thomas Crooks in Butler, Pennsylvania, as it happened, and this got released. So, this is when, if you guys remember, we saw all those videos of all the cops swarming that building because they all knew something was going down. And they realized something was up, and they're trying to get up there. And you could see them walking along trying to look for this guy. And they're looking around. And then eventually, you know, as they get going here, they're getting ready.
Oh, dude, he turned around on me. He's straight up.
So we're gonna.
Yo, you about to hop up? He's laying down. He's on our next building over. Right after the gap. He's got glasses, long hair. Need a ladder. So get a hole.
Yeah. So as you can see, they were trying to get him. And it's, yeah, he's already dead by this point. Yes. Well, it's because at the beginning they hadn't heard the shooting yet, and the shooting occurs when the sound is muted. The body cams don't turn on right away, and here you can see them trying to get up there first. Like, they want to try to get up there, and look what happens. Yeah, and that was, him trying to draw his gun and he fell. And he's just running around trying to get out. They couldn't get the word out to anybody. Yeah. The best body cam position, yeah, it was. John says they didn't try hard enough. Well, short of them just blindly firing into the roof, I mean, they tried hard in the Secret Service. So, Mike says, so the camera, can we see him? No, I already tried slowing it down. There's not enough there to check. So, but it's interesting. You can see that little bit. They're all running around knowing something's going down. Yes, and it's interesting that the Secret Service didn't record communications this night. But somehow they did every other time, so. Okay, so moving on from there. On to Trump-related issues. This is the case out of, this is Trump's case. His January 6th case with the Honorable Judge Chutkan. It's the one Jack Smith case that's still alive. And they are asking for a joint status on it. So the judge wanted them to have she ordered a status conference for next Friday. And they directed the parties to meet by tomorrow and file a conferred status report. Well, the government says we're still continuing to assess the precedent set forth in Trump v. United States. They're also worried about the whole issue with the special counsel thing. And how does that work since Judge Cannon just nuked them? And they say the government has not finalized position on the most appropriate schedule for the parties to brief the issues related. The government requests additional time to provide the court with an informed proposal regarding those issues. And they say the defense does not object to the government's request. So the government wants more time, and they want to do another status report by August 30th. And then they want to meet any day after August 30th. And they said that Trump's attorney, Todd Blanche, and John Lauro, these guys are not available September 6th and the week of September 16th. So that's the update right now for Trump's cases right there. Moving on to other January 6th related things real quick. And this is where we're going to do a little bit of a January 6th update. Jacob Chansley, the Q shaman. He petitioned the government for the return of his outfit, including a horned coyote tail headdress, the red, white, and blue face paint, and the gloves and no shirt. And according to the government, he armed himself with a serious weapon, a 6-foot pole with the American flag tied to it and a metal spearhead on the top of it. Well, he completed his prison sentence and much of his term. He has now moved for the return of his property seized, still held by the government, including his spear and hat. The government has not established it still needs these items and has not sought their forfeiture. So the court is granting his motion to get his stuff back. So, har, 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 har. So he gets his stuff back, chat. Ah, yes. John Coleman says, shit on people. He says, I'm going to come. 2 Girls, 1 Cup was a Romanian film titled It's Hungry Bitches. Wrestler Town says, I guess going back to the YSL thing, saying no big deal, then why do we need a new judge? I agree. Johan Naxos is a new member. Thank you, Johan. Muffin Man says maybe Sherman didn't burn Georgia enough at his March to the Sea. Yeah. Remember, though, the Confederates started burning Atlanta first to deny it to the Union. John Coleman says, what do two gay guys and a bungee jumper have in common? When the rubber breaks, they're both in deep doo-doo. Yes, I've heard that. EDW Raptor says Sean is cooking. Well, thank you. That's a shame says, I forget the remedy for Brady violations discovered before a conviction. Is there one? Well, then saying naughty, apparently not. Legal Vices. Hi, Jeff says, just writing letters to Russia stuff, not killing my dad's stuff. Yes. And Ammo's Currency says, if he's being punished for being black, that statement is very telling about what she thinks being black is. No, I think she just thinks that's on top of it. Mary Coppola says, my son is 26 years old and autistic, and yes, they get older, they can have a history of anger and aggression. We are dealing with that now. If they're high functioning, they have a better chance in society. And I don't disagree. But I think we also can, in Brendan's case, he definitely knew he couldn't just walk up and start beating the brakes off that lady like that. So, and I think in his situation, I mean, if you can't tell him no, it's like, then what can you do? Because otherwise, if you can't tell him no, there's no way to, to work with him. So yeah, the Q Shaman is getting his stuff back. In addition to that, there has been an order in a case against William Dunphy. William Dunphy is another January 6th guy. And he was charged. He took a bench trial. And the parties had reached numerous stipulations. And they stipulated the facts that met all the elements of counts 1 and 3. However, he contested his guilt as to count 2. So the guy was found guilty for counts 1 and 3, but count 2 was obstructing an official proceeding and aiding and abetting in violation of 18 U.S.C. 1512 C2. Well, because of Fisher, and this is where the issue is, in light of Fisher v. United States, the court must vacate his conviction for count 2. That said, though, he agreed to counts 1 and 3. So, this Fisher is starting to have an effect. Although, remember, a lot of people were convicted on multiple counts, not just the obstructing under Sarbanes-Oxley. So, for a lot of people, this may help them overall reduce their exposure and liability, but it's not going to allow them just to walk out the front door like it never even happened. And then another one, just so you guys are aware, is Rebecca Laverne's. She is she considers herself, I think she's the praying granny that was in January 6th. The government sentencing memorandum, she goes for sentencing at the end of next week. The government is asking her to face for 10 months incarceration. And then they're also asking her to be fined. And this is where it's a bit, makes sense the government is doing it. The government is going after her for her post-trial statements and fundraising. That they want to go after her Give, Send, Go accounts. And, she has one count as of July 18th that contains $160,000 that was raised. And she says that she specifically uses the prospect of a criminal fine in a request, writing, I will be appealing my case as well as facing the possibility of additional fines. So what? Why is she not allowed to have those? Are you arguing that because she's raising money, that's horrible for her? She raised another account where she's getting $67,000. And between the two of them, it's $230,000. And the government's trying to seek that she get fined for that and fine that amount. Yeah. She's a grandma too. Yeah, she's an old lady. Doesn't pass smell test, but that's what the government does, man. They want to go after her like that, so. And also, her case got John Pierce. If you guys remember him, he's guy. I think he was the guy involved in the Kyle Rittenhouse stuff for a little while too. Which is just, that stuff's no bueno. Let's see here. Where are we at? All right. Where is? Sorry, guys. I'm trying to consolidate things here. All right. Now, moving on to people who actually kind of aren't getting the short end of the stick here. This is actually some good news. And here is the best one. The Estados Unidos Mexicanos. The Mexican government, the people of Mexico, versus Smith & Wesson Brands Incorporated et al. Now, guys, if you guys didn't remember, this is the Mexican government suing gun manufacturers for all the gun violence. You know, not that it's a corrupt Mexican government or that most guns that are in the cartel's hands are automatic weapons, and those come from direct military assistance the United States has provided and other countries have provided to Mexico. No. We're going to go after the gun companies. Sturm, Ruger and Company, Barrett, Glock, Colt, Century International, Beretta. They all moved to dismiss the complaint under Rule 12b-2 for lack of personal jurisdiction. In September, the court denied those because it had determined the complaint fails to state a claim upon which relief could be granted under 12b-6 to all defendants. The First Circuit reversed that. In light of the First Circuit's decision, their motions have been renewed, and that's the thing. They're allowed to come back. The defendants have also sought a petition for a writ of certiorari with the Supreme Court of the United States. That has not been granted. That remains pending. So, and the reason why they're suing in Massachusetts is because Massachusetts is going to be the most favorable to them. They said, as to these defendants, the connection of this matter to Massachusetts is gossamer thin at best. Now, there's a reason why Smith & Wesson is not listed here. Smith & Wesson is not listed, and we'll get to that. The government of Mexico is obviously not a citizen of Massachusetts. None of the 6 moving defendants are incorporated in Massachusetts. None of a principal place of business in Massachusetts. There's no evidence any of them have manufacturing facilities or even a sales office in Massachusetts. None of the alleged injuries occurred in Massachusetts. Remember, they're alleging all the gun violence in Mexico. No Massachusetts citizen is alleged to have suffered an injury. And the plaintiff has not identified any specific firearm or set of firearms that was sold in Massachusetts and caused injury in Mexico. Yes, that's because they come from the border states if they are ever trafficked over the border, and they are not likely to find sympathetic ears, except maybe in California, which I don't know why they didn't try there, but whatever reason, they made their reason there. Yes, there's no question, though, personal jurisdiction, even for a corporation, must be proved separately as to each defendant. And they point out that, yes, their theory is based on statistical probabilities, that each company sold firearms in each of the 50 states. Each of the 6 defendants sold some undetermined number of firearms in Massachusetts, and some of those firearms were sold nationwide, were illegally trafficked to Mexico, and that some undetermined number of firearms were trafficked there that caused an injury, and therefore at least some of the firearms sold by each of them must have caused injuries in Mexico. But you guys can see that's a very tenuous action. Well, this happened, therefore this had to have possibly happened, which means this other thing possibly happened, which means this other thing possibly happened, leading to this next thing possibly happening. We're just building and building and building possibilities. So, they don't have anything except they can estimate the number of firearms. They tried to use the trace and recovery data set used by the ATF, but even then that didn't help them. They said that, the Congress has prohibited the ATF's use of ATF data in the civil action. And thus a critical foundation of her opinion must be disregarded. Further, even though she can estimate the number of firearms by each defendant, she can't say how many caused an injury in Mexico, which is critical for their business claims. And they haven't been able to muster sufficient proof of sufficient relationship between the injuries and business transactions of the 6 defendants of Massachusetts. So there you go. It's accordingly for these guys, the motion to dismiss will be granted. So we'll probably get to this because I didn't get a chance to read all this yet. Chat came out yesterday, but it is big news. Big news. So the firearms community can tell Mexico BTFO. BTFO. And then moving on with other federal hijinks, the Secret Service had actually wanted to destroy the amount of cocaine they'd found that Hunter Biden had likely left in the White House. So we find out that the Secret Service and others in the agency and their leadership wanted to destroy the cocaine discovered in the White House last summer. But the Forensics Division and the Uniform Division stood firm and rejected that and said, no, we're not going to destroy it. Multiple confrontations and disagreements how best to handle the cocaine ensued after a uniformed division officer, which they have uniformed police officers, especially if you go to the White House, you'll see them, found the bag on July 2nd while Joe Biden and his family were in Camp David. It's funny, though, because the one guy who found it told his boss, including Kimberly Cheadle and acting service director Ron Rowe, the guy who got in Congress and cried this past week, he said he wanted to follow certain crime scene investigation protocols. He was taken immediately off the case. Well, isn't that a coinky dink? Now, their Secret Service, their spokesman, Anthony Guglielmi, or Guglielmi, he's been coping this entire time. Denied anyone wanted the cocaine to be destroyed, but he ignored questions regarding whether cops had been removed from the case or did anybody get in trouble for pushing back on it. And he says the Secret Service takes its investigative and protective responsibilities very seriously. Yeah, I'm sure they do at this point. I'm sure they take care of it. He says there are retention policies for criminal investigations. Yeah, and I'm sure there are also retention policies for recording all your communications traffic. Somehow that didn't happen. There's also, you're supposed to have your drones. You're supposed to have your signal jammers so cell phones and bomb detonators can't be used. You didn't do those either. So I'm just saying. But yes, the discovery of the bag of cocaine posed an unusual problem for Kimberly Cheadle, who resigned in the face of pressure after the failed assassination attempt against Donald Trump. Yes. Well. Oh. So, makes you wonder, chat. Makes you wonder. Makes you wonder. Doesn't it? Doesn't it make you wonder? Yes. I don't feel so good, United States Secret Service bros. Yes, Hunter at Camp David was probably upset he left his coke behind. I'm sure he was. I'm sure he was, and he didn't realize it till it was too late. Where did they find it? How could that not be tracked to someone? Well, they're claiming the cameras didn't show who dumped it, like, on a desk. But it was found on a desk somewhere in the residential part of the White House. And Hunter... and it has been confirmed Hunter was staying in the White House at that time. So it's very likely his. Payne says the Secret Service could destroy it by using it themselves. No. They only use cocaine when they go to Colombia and they're using hookers. That's when they use cocaine. Oh. Mike says, who else would have had access to that? Well, maybe it was Joe's. Yes, plot twist, the powder was Joe Biden's dementia meds. Yes. Oh. So. I'm sure that they're going to make sure people are held responsible for this. Only the toppest of men are involved. Oh my gosh. Just makes you feel very proud, doesn't it, chat? It makes you feel like the adults are in charge. You know, what can go wrong? What can go wrong? Okay, and then the last thing for tonight, this is very interesting. This one is kind of weird. This one's kind of weird. And real quick before we get too far, Mary says we would never let our son get to that point. Mary, I'm not saying you would. We're working with Johns Hopkins currently to see how to handle it. It came out of nowhere this past year. Well, I'm glad you're helping him work on it, and I hope nothing but the best. Hope you guys are able to navigate it. Then real quick, Hunter Logan. Hi, Hunter. If you're new, I don't think I've seen you around before, so welcome. Saying, hey, Sean, hope all is well. I start law school next Monday. Well, good luck. It's a journey. And I have been doing my first week's readings. Any tips on remembering the names of cases I brief without referencing my notes? No, I mean, you're better off articulating the principles of a case. You need to know what's in the case, not the case names. Now, it helps, sure. But just keep your eyes on them and read them. And, if you want to put a little sticky note next to like things in your book as like a cliff note, it's about this or that. But the bigger issue is knowing the principle out of that, knowing the holding of the case, or knowing how to apply what's in that case. That's going to do you far more important. That's what they're going to be looking for is, can you apply it? Obviously, it helps if you could articulate, yes, this is from Fallsgraf. This is from, this is from Wickard v. Filburn. This is from, McCullough v. Maryland. This is from Marbury v. Madison. This is from, X, Y, and Z. It is helpful, but the biggest thing is knowing what's in the case. Because you could just say, yeah, the holding in such and such, and then if you don't apply it, you're not going to get the points. Whereas otherwise, if you can apply the principles and the holdings, that's the big thing. And you'll get used to it. Don't, my only advice to you is, don't think you can just read in class and you'll be okay. You're going to need to learn how to outline. You're going to need to make sure, doing flashcards. I will tell you, Microsoft OneNote is probably the best thing you can use, and I would highly recommend it. And I only say that because, and I've mentioned this before, but we're going to bring it up. Let me see if I can. Okay, let me see. Here, let me see if this is, if you guys aren't aware of Microsoft OneNote is, it's actually very good. It's like Excel and everything combined together. And you can it's like Excel and Word as one big thing. And I bring it up because you can do all kinds of stuff. You can, you can start writing over here and do whatever you want over this way. You can put all kinds of stuff together, and you can go on forever this way. You can go on forever the other way. You're not limited. I mean, you can just, you can go on and on and on forever. And if you need to draw, you can draw arrows. You can draw like this. You can highlight. You can highlight. You can also circle stuff. You can say, you could do all kinds of things. You could highlight here if you want to highlight. You can highlight this. I highly recommend it because you can make all your notes, and you could do your notes as you go and keep going as you're doing your notes. Like I said, that's what I recommend. It helped me out a lot. It really helped me out a lot. It made my studying easier. And also, you can just scroll back through. If your professor says, recall something, you can boom, and right to it. I think it's very, very good for that purpose. So that's really my biggest recommendation, is using that as a tool in your toolbox. But just remember, everybody there is smart enough. Everybody there's pretty smart. So don't coast. Stay on top of it. And I would say, pretend like assume you're the dumbest guy in the room and you're at the bottom end of the curve. And just study. Study a little bit at the beginning, but as you get to Thanksgiving time, really buckle down and really, really study. The best thing I could tell you. If you have any questions, Hunter, my email's down there below, potentiallycriminal@gmail.com. If you have questions as you get through the semester, let me know. I'll be happy to help you out and give you some advice. But that's my advice for right now, man. That's my advice for right now. Yes, back in your day, you had pen and paper. I understand, but it's better. There's better stuff. Am I sponsored by Microsoft? No, but it helped me so much. It helped me so much. Also, the only other thing I will tell you is when you can use books. Either way, if you're going to highlight, this was something that helped me because when you're reading cases, if you just use like one color highlighter, you're going to have pages sometimes where it's like the entire thing is highlighted. So instead, break it up and like have multiple colors of highlighter. It breaks it up. It's not as monotonous when you're staring at it. And then when you're in class trying to find something, it's broken up a little bit. You can find things a little easier. That's just how I did it. And then in your notes, if you're trying to highlight things, use all the different colors available to you. It's so much easier. And then Adam Wathen gifted 20 memberships. Adam, thank you very much. Keeping chat gray free. Remember, Grays, this is a green neighborhood. Keep moving. Thank you, Adam. Thank you for the support and thank you for your generosity. So, Hunter, I don't know if you're still here, man. Hopefully you hadn't left yet. But I hope that answers your question. All right, so let's move on. We got one last thing, chat. One last thing. Oh, and the funny thing is I still use that. I still use multiple colors, like reading a police report. If I'm highlighting stuff and looking through things, multiple colors, it's a little more eye-catching. It's not as monotonous. Also, it looks a little more gruesome when like people see you prepared and you've got like stuff highlighted and you've written all over it. They're like, oh my God, he really took his notes. So I bring my crayon box everywhere. Well, I'm just telling you things that work for me. And I don't think that if it works for me, it's got to work for someone else. Okay. All right, chat. So moving on from there, the last thing, and I thought this was very, very, very interesting. What happened here is this judge. This judge was removed, and it's very interesting what they did to her. It was very, very interesting what happened. And I had to do archive because it wasn't letting me keep the page going. So the Louisiana Supreme Court removed a Baton Rouge judge named Ebony Rose because of the threat of serious harm. Now, what happened? So she got removed from the bench because she presents a substantial threat of serious harm to the public. Now, what did she do? Did she kill someone? I don't know. Like, what happened? Well, I do know what happened, and let's get to it, chat. Real quick, Mofolk saying an after show tonight. Yes, there is. And then Zero Skills saying, or Winter Soldier, you guys over in Twitch, thank you for being there, guys. Thank you for showing me it's working. So they said that his qualification merits a recommendation from the Judicial Commission, which itself is investigating misconduct allegations. So she currently handles criminal and civil cases in the 19th Judicial District, which is normal. A lot of judges generally cover both. And she's running for a seat on the Court of Appeals against a fellow judge. Well, I have a feeling she's not going to be running for very long. I don't know if she's allowed to run. So she's had verdicts that are under scrutiny, and this gets weird, guys. This gets weird. So a 2-page order, the Supreme Court of Louisiana's 2-page order does not list the reasons, but she's done a couple of things. So in March, she convicted a former cop accused of sexual misconduct against a student of misdemeanor grade malfeasance in office. When the attorneys pointed out that no such offense exists in Louisiana, she acquitted him, pissing off the prosecutors. Now, this is where I wish we knew exactly how I wish these were recorded so we could see it and hear it. But it sounds like she's saying, well, since it doesn't exist, not guilty, instead of probably convicting him of the felony he probably deserved. In April, the state Supreme Court overturned the conviction of a teacher accused of bashing a car in a flooded street with a baseball bat and threatening the people inside with a gun. She had initially read out a verdict of not guilty, but then later on returned everyone to the courtroom and issued a guilty verdict, saying the jury had misunderstood the instructions. Which this is the problem, because they point out that she had improperly met alone with the jurors after the trial. And also just the idea of her professional competency, because can you really redo the guilt? Like he was acquitted. You don't get to come back and say, no. Actually, you were guilty, my man. No, it doesn't work that way. If he's not guilty, he's not guilty. Oh. Yes, chat. Yes, this is yeah. She said then in May, she had to vacate a guilty plea of a Texas lawyer who admitted to setting his ex-girlfriend's Baton Rouge home on fire because she suspended too much of his prison time. Which I don't understand how that works, but it sounds like there was a minimum mandatory amount of time he had to serve, and she didn't give it to him properly, which, okay, but the judges fuck up every once in a while in sentencings. So I'm not sure how that's a big deal, but they're saying it is. So the Supreme Court made a 5-2 decision. And in their dissent, they point out the judge had apologized and said it would have been better to consider her attempt to improve her performance through a period of probation under an experienced mentor. And they point out that this is a difficult thing to do. And it's a harsh remedy that must be exercised sparingly, as it runs counter to the decisions of voters. And that's true. She got voted in. The actions of this judge are a matter of cause for concern and may ultimately lead to discipline. But yes, and this is some of them, yes, are not so egregious as to warrant the most extreme measures at this point. But they other judges have said that a harsher sentence is better and that she should have been suspended without pay and making her pay for a temporary judge to serve while she's out. So not only are you being suspended without pay, but basically your paycheck is going to fund that judge who's taking your spot. Like, phew, you're having to pay for the guy taking over for you. But that's what the judge wanted to do. But the judge says, however, because of our Constitution and Supreme Court rules don't allow us to do it, they have to pay for her salary and the cost of a temporary judge to serve. So she's like, I want to nuke this woman. Just, they want to nuke her. But they're like, oh, we can't do it. So it's like, nah, I can't do it. No, it doesn't work. Can't nuke her. But it's very interesting. These things up here, guys, are truly the interesting issues. Overturning the verdict and then saying, oh, it doesn't count anymore and throwing that verdict out. Those are crazy, crazy things. Just absolutely crazy. I like option 2. Yeah. Well, if they don't have the right to do it, though, man, it doesn't work. Yeah, no takesies, backsies. Oh, yeah. Mike says that's double jeopardy. Well, yes, an acquittal is a final action, so I don't see how she could go back on that. Yeah, anybody knows Sean went from green to red highlighter? Well, that's because that's the default when I'm using page marker or page viewer. Its default is red. But people in chat have said they can read green better than yellow. So, yeah. So yeah, guys, I guess just yeah, don't do what she's doing, and I guess you'll be okay as a judge. That's probably the best way to handle it. It's probably the best way to handle it. Let me see here. There's a couple other things to catch up on here. Chinny says you need the smelly felts. Oh, the I remember those. I think God, some of you might not remember these, but I remember them. They came in a little foam box. The Mr. Sketch, I think is what they were called. I don't remember what they were called traditionally. Yeah, oh yeah, here we are. Here we are. I remember these. I think this is what you're talking about. These were so cool. I remember them back in the day. They had the foam thingy they came in, and they had all the smells. I remember those. You were like hot shit if you had these as a kid. They were so cool. $14 for a set. Do they still work? That's what I'm kind of surprised at. Yeah, I remember this box. Yeah, I remember this type of box, the foam box. Although I thought there were dividers in between them, but either way, they're in the foam box. And wow, they look really good shape. They look really, really good shape. Although it looks like they throw in a new one. The black one died. So they throw in a new black marker. Let's see here. Are they saying this is 12 sorted colors? They're in good condition. They're not handmade and are the original brand. Oh, so they're saying that they're good to go. Interesting. Interesting. Bella's saying you're going to cover Lori Lightfoot's report, or when will you? At some point I will. But oh my God, I saw a little bit of it. Nate was covering it tonight. Tiffany Hendon spent like $10 million of the city's money. Like $40,000 on Amazon. It looks like she spent it all on herself. She stole like $10 million and they can't account for any of it. It's the way she did it, I was impressed with. So Sean's about to use those kid markers on his monitor. Yeah. The red one was the best. The black licorice one stank. Yeah, some of them are really strong, depending on the box. Yes, Judge Rosen remains a candidate for the appellate court. Yes, but I don't know if it count. Like, I don't know how that works. So I really don't know how that works. Lucky Robot says for $5. Sup, Big Pimp? Well, not much, man. Thank you for being here. But yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's very interesting. If you guys didn't see the report, I am going to figure out when to break it down. Maybe we'll do it this weekend because there's a lot there. Holy cow! Holy cow! And do you remember the purple glue sticks that turned clear? Yeah, because that way you could see where you were gluing. Those were the nicest thing ever. Okay. Well, chat, that is it for tonight. We got done pretty good. 2 hours and 15 minutes. I'm actually proud of ourselves here. We kept it respectable. He used to eat paste. Oh, Ag saying, according to an LSU professor, because he's down there, she can remain since she hasn't been put through a trial type thing. Her argument doesn't make sense. Well, I mean, until she's been formally reprimanded or sanctioned, yeah, she's probably eligible. So, all right, guys. So yeah, we are going to be going over to locals. Bella says, "Go over Steve." What happened? What about Steve? Like Steve Gosney? What happened to him? Is he okay? Oh. What happened here? Oh, wow. Hold on here, chat. Holy shit. Yeah, I know, but I'm... What? Fuck you, Brittany Wallerman. Oh, wow, I'm sure you're glad you... Steve... Oh, that sucks for Steve. Well, I guess Steve got caught up as being a political target here, so... Brittany Wallman, I hope you fucking enjoy it, and then I'm sure you're going to complain and cry when there's ethics issues in the prosecutor's office or whatever issue you have against the state's attorney's office there. So good job. I'm sure that's going to fix things. No, that's fucked up. That's bullshit. And I mean, Steve should have used the pen name. Sure, that's probably not a bad idea. Yeah. I'm not going to give this woman, I'm not even going to give her the dignity of having her article read. Fuck her. Oh, well. This is, whatever she feels like it's best. So. It's just absolutely garbage. That is so sad. Oh, well. So fuck those people. That's, they wanted a good man there to help them fix stuff, and now they pissed it away. So then when they get to cry, such horseshit. Gosney got screwed, that's what happened, chat. Guys, I'm not going to air the article. That's not fair to Steve. That's a bull. That article's a hatchet job. So, I did not share the screen intentionally, guys. I'm not sharing the damn screen. So, Brittany says, why didn't his bosses stick up for him? Because they felt it wasn't worth their political capital, which is sad. But that should tell you a lot. And yes, Barton Bell is saying, yes, Dragon's Treasure tea is awesome. Yes, the Dragon's Treasure. A haven for tea and anime lovers. You guys go over there. You can join. You guys can go over there and become, using the promo code. You can get 10% off using the promo code criminal. You guys go over there. Also, if you guys go over to maf-arms.com using the promo code POTCRIM, you can get 10% off their collections of wind chimes and other wind assorted instruments that they sell. So if you'd like to see Fudbusters and Ivan make a couple of bucks, you can go over there as well. Matt says, can I explain who Steve is? Steve Gosney was he was a public defender in Florida. He did a lot of appellate work, and he had been associated with us here on LawTube. Got a lot of good advice. He was, been an attorney for a very long time, had formerly been a prosecutor as well, and had done a couple of books that were based on multiple legal writing treatises that I think he put together were very, very good. Steve's always been a very nice guy, always willing to come on and talk, always willing to share his advice and his experience. And it's just sad that's what happened to him. So, yeah. So, anyways, guys, if you go to Dragon's Treasure, you can use 10% off for promo code criminal there. And guys, yeah, if you guys head over to Locals, you use a promo code Booger Sugar, you get 1 month free. And why is the teapot talking? Well, Sean says, don't put up my comment. I'm not going to. I don't want to. I saw it, though. Very funny. Yes, if you go to maf-arms.com, it's wind chimes of various types. So, yeah, Steve wrote a kind of saucy, kind of the dirty book the ladies like, and it got a little risque, and people got all upset about it. That's what happened. A bunch of people got all offended. So, yes, use the promo code FOMERLAW for 0% off because it doesn't work. So, yeah. So, anyways, that's bullshit for Steve. I feel bad for him. Hopefully he can go back to where he was and kind of regroup from there. I mean, that sucks because he'd gotten packed up and getting ready to sell and all that stuff. So, yeah, everybody can go buy his book at stevegosney.com. You guys go out there and buy his books and go from there. So, all right, guys. So that's it for us tonight. As far as tomorrow, remember Karen Reed's like 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. Sarah Boone's in the afternoon. I won't be back till the afternoon. We'll take care of and go through both those hearings. We'll go through Sarah Boone's motions that she put up. I'm sure those will be very interesting to read. And I'm sure tomorrow will be very interesting and how she acts in court. So, with that being said, chat, until next time, just because you did it doesn't mean you're guilty. Unless there's a judge in Louisiana who says, but wait, you're guilty, and then you're not guilty. But you are guilty, and then you're not guilty. No. That might be the only chance where it's different, chat. So, that being said, everybody, take care and have a great night. I'll see you guys over on Locals.
Weapons, blacksmithing, and models of planes, esoteric works, and even some trains. Much merriment had while drinking White Claws, tips on hunting, and even talking the law. Whatever you do, just don't talk to cops, even when they nab you on illegal stops. Just 'cause you did it doesn't mean you're guilty. But please talk to a local attorney. Was that the fat guy that hated you?